Hi, Soulful Mama. Hi, Soulful Mama. If you are feeling burned out and depleted, trying to power through your days and be everything to everyone, this episode is for you. In this episode of the Soul Care Mom podcast, I chat with Anna-Thea, a certified divine feminine educator and author, all about how you can stop living in survival mode and start leaning into your divine feminine, the sacred energy that is the truth of who you are. I love the tips and exercises she shares to help us move from our minds and into our hearts and bodies so we can start tuning into our innate wisdom and open our hearts to more love, joy, and peace. So, if you are feeling overwhelmed and burned out and are ready to find more ease, you are absolutely going to love this conversation. Let's dive in. Hi there, Soulful Mama. Welcome to the Soul Care Mom podcast. I'm Catherine Wilde of soulcaremom.com. I'm a mom of 3 amazing kids, a soul care mom coach, and a yoga and meditation teacher. I've helped hundreds of women, and I'm here to help you feel calm and find your unshakable confidence as a mom. If you're ready to stop living in survival mode and you're ready to drop the mom guilt and overwhelm, this podcast is for you. Think of this as a lunch date with a girlfriend. Grab a cup of tea and get cozy. It's time to get honest and vulnerable and shift the traditional mindset around motherhood. Be sure to subscribe to be the first to know when new episodes are released. Get ready to grow and feel empowered as a mom. I'm here for you, Mama. Let's get started. Hi, Anna-Thea. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Oh, yeah. I was looking forward to it.
Yes, I'm so excited to talk with you. So we're talking all about divine feminine, and I also want to talk a bit about your book. I'm reading your book right now, Empower Yourself by Loving Your Body. But I would love to start with just how did you get into studying the divine feminine and a little bit about your journey?
Oh my goodness. So what part of my story should I actually tell you? Where do I begin? Sometimes and I don't know if I'm answering this question correctly, but how did I get into this work? Yeah. Pain, pure, unadulterated pain, emotional pain, And so that led me to, because of at 39, my husband passed away. I was married to him for 11 years. Then I got involved with a man that was addicted to pornography. And then I got married again, and that was a whole fiasco with him. And then I was with another man. I mean, this journey, I'm a queen of hearts. And so this journey of love, I always wanted the perfect love, and it always evaded me until I really realized the perfect love is inside yourself, or it was really the journey of that. But after I was with the man that was addicted to pornography, which is very common in American households or across the planet, a lot of people don't talk about it. A lot of women suffer around it. It really affected me. So at the end of that journey, and he ended up later taking his life. So he committed suicide. So he really, really struggled with that addiction. But at the end of that relationship, which I really grew a lot and learned a lot about codependency during that relationship, that I said, I need to really look at my sexuality. I need to look at my own personal addictions. I need to look at my relationship to relationship and my relationship to my body. And so I took a 2-year journey with the Divine Feminine Institute, which transformed my life. And that was back in 2005 to 2007. But I'd already been doing a lot of inner work after my husband's death, and I was a yogini and I taught yoga. And so those teachings that I learned during that certification program are teachings that I've been teaching ever since. So yeah, I hope I answered the question properly.
Yes, that was lovely. Yes. So in your book, and I'm sure in your courses and things, you talk about feminine and masculine and how we all have both of those in us, and that we live in this masculine driven and oriented society. But so as women, we have adapted to this. But in order to really shine and flourish as women, we have to kind of come back to ourselves. So could we start with what you mean when you say masculine and feminine energy, and what exactly is the divine feminine?
Sure. So, like all of us have masculine and feminine energies in us. And one of my top performing blog articles is about masculine and feminine energy. And the thing is that we have positive and negative expressions of the masculine and positive and negative expressions of the feminine. So it's really everyone's personal journey of balancing out their masculine and their feminine energies to find wholeness within themselves. So, for example, masculine energy is the focused energy, is the driven energy, is the make it happen energy, which we all need. It's the assertiveness. It's speaking up for yourself. And we can have the positive aspects of that or the negative. So the negative aspects of that is over controlling. The negative aspects of that is being pushy or violent, right? Mm-hmm. So, but the positive aspects can move us forward. The positive aspects and then feminine energy is the receptive, the sensual, the healing, the beauty, the nurturing, the loving, the caring. And if you have too much of that energy, you're going to get stomped on. You're going to get taken advantage of. So the downside of that is the martyr, the victim energy, the giving too much, losing yourself in relationship. The other aspect of it can be manipulating. You're using your sexuality for security.
Interesting.
So there's different, and these are just a few examples of different aspects of the masculine and the feminine within us, where we can really look at where is our energy playing out in a dysfunctional way, and where can we heal then and express both of these energies in a very positive way. What I get a lot from women is, I know I'm disconnected from my feminine, but then if I try to be feminine, I'm afraid that I'm going to be too vulnerable. And I remember that in my own personal development, like how can I be vulnerable but still be strong? And so finding strength in your vulnerability is really a journey of connecting to the inner strength of your own knowing so that you can speak up for yourself without slamming somebody else. That you can say no and not feel guilty, not do the people pleasing kind of thing, So so in that journey, as you strengthen your divine feminine, then, so that answers the question of what is the divine feminine. The divine feminine is actually this fierce part of us that's very, it's really the power of the heart inside of our bodies. So it's a woman, and it could be a man that's connected to their divine feminine or their awakened masculine that is able to assert themselves, but with love. So using really the power of love. And what does that include? That includes honoring your emotions instead of repressing them, loving your body instead of, thinking there's something wrong with your body, honoring your sexuality instead of thinking there's something wrong with your sexuality or using your sexuality for material gain. So these are all the different things around masculine and feminine energy. I mean, just the tip of the iceberg, and reclaiming the sacredness of your body and who you are as a woman so that you step forward in your strength, but the power of the heart as opposed to the power of the mind. Well, that's a whole other subject too, is, we live in a very mind-driven world, analytical. If you can't see it, then it doesn't exist. The divine feminine is that part of us that's unseen. It's not something you see, it's something you feel, because it resides in, mostly, its home is the female body. Divine feminine essence resides in the female body. But so many of us just live up in our head.
Yes. Oh no, I find myself in my head a lot. But so that's like a balance of living in our physical bodies, is finding the balance between our heart and our mind too, right? To be able to function and be here.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So especially as women, I feel like we have so much mind chatter and these to-do lists and our inner critic and all these stories in our heads. And I love that you talk about the power of your breath and that helping you to drop into your heart and into your body. So could we talk a bit about that and how we can use our breath to get into our body?
Sure. It's so funny that you say that, because what's coming up in my mind is my own personal story with one of the fellows that I was with, right? The guy that ended up taking his life later. He said, you can't do enough exercise to calm your mind. And this is years ago when I was probably, your age or even younger. And so this mind chatter, this mind chatter that we have is insanity. It's self-torture, and it's not a heart opening. See, a neutral mind is an open heart. And women, it's literally, our brains are different than the male brain. So there's something that happens where we have both hemispheres are connected to each other. And so the male brain looks at things like this, and then has to go over here and look at things over here. And I don't know the exact science of that, if that's evolving or changing, but we see this in interactions. And so the woman can literally see, or the female brain can literally see more of the whole picture, whereas the focused brain is more like this. And so when we see this whole picture, our mind just becomes very busy. So we see potentialities that possibly may never happen. Like we get into fear, like, oh my God, what if this happens? Or my children, what if that happens? Or we can see all of these different scenarios. And so that's why it's really important for the breath, movement, and sound. And that's what I talk about in my book too, is having some type of practice that allows you to calm your mind and be in your body. So masculine is logical, feminine is sensual or intuitive, right? The masculine is doing, making things happen. The feminine is being. And the breath, movement, and sound will allow you to slow down those tracks of mind and be in your body. But you have to cultivate practices that allow you to do that. And so another thing that I talk about is the difference between masculine forms of exercise and feminine forms of exercise. And I don't mean football as compared to ballet. What I mean is doing forms of exercise that will allow you to experience the beauty and the peace of being in your body. So, for example, any type of exercise can be either masculine or feminine. So jogging, for example, if you go and you jog and you're counting your calories and you're counting how many miles you do and you're thinking about, is my belly in, or what does my body look like as I'm jogging? Who's looking at me while I'm on the road or whatever? This is all like very focused, analytical, masculine form of exercise. But if you're jogging and you're literally being in your breath, you're feeling the soles of your feet on the earth, and you're moving with that beauty and that presence of being in your body, then it could be a more feminine form of exercise. For me, what I have found, and yoga can be a masculine form or a feminine form. So if you go to and you do yoga and you're worried if your belly's sticking out, or you're having to do it the form perfectly instead of just being in your body and experiencing the beauty of that movement, of that non-physical energy moving through your body and the release of tension, That's more of a feminine form of exercise. And so I say, cultivate feminine forms of exercise if you want to get out of the busyness of your mind and learn how to be in your body. And there's all kinds of ways that you can do that.
Yes, I love that. And I definitely understand, like, even in a yoga class, like, there's some where you feel like I need to follow exactly what they're saying instead of listening to what feels good for you. There's a difference there, and it's, yeah, that's amazing. So as moms, there's so many, just women and mothers, we put so much on our shoulders, so much pressure on ourselves to be super women and super moms. And I grew up with a very strong mother, and she was a single mom. She was an entrepreneur. She wore so many hats. And I'm so grateful for all that she did for me. And I learned a lot from her. But it wasn't until I was an adult that I began to understand how much I was pushing against life by living that way, by kind of powering through and resisting right. the who I am, And so I was just trying to be all the things to all the people and feeling depleted, and it was really exhausting, an exhausting way to live. And I'm still in my journey of stepping into my divine feminine and that sacred feminine energy. And I know I'm not alone on this journey of just kind of coming home to myself. So if there's a mom listening right now who is open to this idea and she's feeling burned out and she's trying to do all the things, where can she start? What would be a good stepping in point for her to get out of that survival mode and just soften and come back to herself?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Where could she start? It depends on the woman and where she's at. But, I guess the words are slow down. Start noticing when your body is tensing up. Because when your body is tensing up and you're in a hurry, you're not, and the energy's changing. I mean, we've gone through a huge global change, and it's been going on. We are evolving as a species. It used to work for us to be very much in the physical, but we are being more and more called to learn how to be in that divine presence. And when you are, then actually what you're doing is you're changing the energy field around your body so that things can come into you. So if you're constantly in a state of stress, if you're constantly worried, all these lower frequency energies, you're literally pushing good opportunities away from you. So I think the first step is to notice when your body is in a contractive mode, to notice when you are using a tone that is not opening another person's heart. When you need to notice when you're saying things to yourself that are self-deprecating. So I think that's the first step, is to notice. And that's actually one of my, and I think I put it in the book, Notice, Name, Nurture, Need. Have you read about that?
Ends, yes.
You got it, exactly. So that's the first step of the 4 N's, is really to notice, to become aware of these dysfunctional, disempowering behaviors, and to not beat yourself up about it,
Yes. So one thing that I love about the 4 N's that you teach is what I teach as well, is developing this relationship with your feelings, your emotions, because they're sending you a message that something is out of balance, and nurturing yourself through that. So, and when we do start to connect with ourselves, there's going to be some uncomfortable emotions. And so that can be hard for people, because a lot of times we find ways to avoid these things. And so I would love it if we could go through what to do when these uncomfortable feelings come up and what they might mean for us.
Okay, great. So, let me tell you, and I hate to say, like, I'm much older, and I've been through so much. When I was your age, and when I was a cycling woman, see, I'm in menopause now. In emotions are something to be reckoned with. Let me tell you. So in my younger years, I was so emotional. So I literally had to learn how to master my emotions because they would bring me down and I would just sabotage my whole life through my emotions. And I would go through these cycles of craziness in my own world, in my own mind, through having an emotional storm. So I had to learn how to sit in my own emotional storm. And that's when I developed the 4 N's: notice, name, nurture, and need. And the bottom line with emotions, and what are emotions? They're energy in motion. This is a very, emotions are the divine feminine. Emotions are your guiding light. To let you know, like you said, that there's something that you need to look at, right? But what do? We get over it, just push it down, repress it, and get on with life, right?
Right.
But what happens then is we start creating body armor with all the stuffed emotions, one thing after another. And then we disconnect from pleasure because the female body was designed for pleasure. But if she needs to act like in her masculine and repress and armor herself up, then she's actually disconnected from her sensuality. And so your emotions will get you connected to your sensuality, but it takes courage. So there's a couple of things. When you find your mind racing and all that chatter, often it's because it's a kind of like a reaction. I guess it's a survival reaction to keep you from feeling your feelings. So when you have a mind chatter, know that there's probably a feeling that you're not feeling, and you need to get out of your mind and feel what's going on here. I have so many things in my head that I want to share with around all of this, and I'm like, what direction do I take on this? When you start having the courage to feel your uncomfortable feelings, that's the journey of reclaiming your body, your divine feminine essence, your femininity and your female wisdom, and owning your body as a sacred temple. And the 4 N's will get you there. This is how I've dealt with my own personal addictive, obsessive, compulsive behaviors. And it, like you said, will bring you back home. So do you want me to actually go through those 4 steps, or?
If you'd like to, I think that's something, we could all, I know I could use that reminder of what to do. It's because it does feel scary and it feels messy when you're in the middle of that big emotion. But from having sat with it myself, I know that on the other side of it, it's really beautiful. It's like that rainbow after the storm,
Yeah,
So,
totally. And the other thing is, there's the concept of the mind chatter means there's an uncomfortable feeling in your body that you're just not feeling. So know that when you have mind chatter, there's a feeling you're not feeling. And also when you do have an uncomfortable feeling, that it always comes down to that you just have an unmet need that you need to uncover. And then that will bring you back home. So the 4 N's, the other thing I want to say about these uncomfortable feelings is that it is scary, but once you start getting used to it, what you're going to start doing is becoming aware of what Eckhart Tolle talks about, the pain body. Mm. And so then you start feeling it. And I have for many years, it used to be down in my belly. I'll still get that sometimes in my heart, but consistently I have something in the back of my throat, and I've worked it very much and I've befriended it. And a lot of women have this. A lot of women have the thyroid issues. A lot of women have the chronic people-pleasing issue, not speaking up for themselves. So see where these uncomfortable feelings are in your body. I'll go through those 4 N's quickly, but I just wanted to preface this before we start with that. But what I feel these are is just karma inside of our bodies. And so the beauty of taking time to be with these uncomfortable feelings, what I feel is on a very mystical, magical soul level, is you're literally lifting off the dark, heavy energy of our past history and our mother's history and our grandmother's history and our great-grandmother's, the lineage that we come through of feeling like we're not good enough. And so that's the beauty of actually being with these uncomfortable feelings, is you're literally healing generations before you, generations beyond you, your children, your grandchildren going forward, because they say you heal 9 generations back and 9 generations forward. So this is a very magical, it doesn't seem like a magical process at the time, but I just like to promote it as such, because it's such a powerful thing to shed all of those limiting belief systems that tell you I'm not good enough, and then bring you back to the core of who you are, which is your divine power. So the 4N process, and so I just want to take a moment to say, like, that's why this is so important.
Yes. So if you feel like we don't have time for sitting with ourselves, like just the ripple effect that it has on your children and their children, and that's a motivation enough for most moms, right? We want the best for our kids.
Totally.
To take that time for yourself. Yeah. Because
the best parent that you can be is not to tell them, but to literally be it, role model it. Role model a mother that takes care of herself. Yeah. I say that, I don't know if this is a good thing to say, but I think of, how many like unavailable men there are, or how many checked out husbands there are. And it's not that we have them to, and it's not blame, but it's look at how the mothers treated them and how the mothers did too many things for them. And so the mothers have this hard balance on how to really nurture and give, but also not enable, and so it's really hard to be a mother, super hard to be a mother. But that's, a woman is really in her power position to affect change in our evolutionary process. And so she's right at the front lines of making the changes and the evolutionary changes as she's raising her children.
In your book, you talk about boundaries, and you have such beautiful images in there that help you picture it, because boundaries are a really hard thing. And it's always a balance. You're always figuring it out, but I really appreciated how you explained it and the images in there too.
Yeah, because that's that divine feminine energy really tuning into the energy dynamics. Mm-hmm. And that's why you have to, it's not about going into the other room and having time for yourself. It is in the beginning. It's just like, wow, I have to connect to me and find out what is my truth. Sometimes, especially if you're an empath, you literally have to say, listen, I have to go and have some space to myself. I need to really think about this and feel into it. And then when you remove yourself energetically, literally, I've had this experience where I remove myself energetically just out of the room where the tension is, and I immediately get clarity because I'm connecting to my inner source. And then come back. But we don't learn these things of, we give them timeouts. Do we give ourselves timeouts, right? And you have to do it in a way of like, I need to go check in with myself. And you need to let them know I'm not leaving you. I'll be back in 10 minutes. I'm going to go put the timer on. So you give yourself a timeout,
Yeah, at our house, we call it self-care pauses. If somebody's feeling upset or overwhelmed, we all just stop, breathe, give hugs, get water, go to the bathroom, whatever you need,
I
snuggles.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, so I don't want to keep on delaying the 4 N's. So the 4 N's is notice, name, nurture, and need. And this is a way to process your emotions, to understand what's underneath your emotions. And you want to do this, you can 4N somebody else, or you can 4N yourself. And if you're in an emotional storm, what you want to do is step back and you want to do the 4N process. And I actually have an online course. I call it the How to Feel Good course. that will teach you this process, and I actually take you through the process. But the 4 N's is notice, name, nurture, and need. So the first step is to notice. Now I'm going to use an example of overeating. Okay, that's just a real simple one. And a lot of women suffer from body image issues and emotional overeating, which I used to, and I thought I'd never overcome that. And the image that comes to mind is I have actually one of my blogs, I have me hanging from the refrigerator, and my roommate, this is a few years back, she took a picture of me there. You know, how many times do you open the refrigerator, look to see if something's in there, or you get something and you take that, you know, second or third or fourth piece of pie or whatever it is, and just you're off and running. It's not fun. So anyway, you notice that you're reaching for that second or third or fourth a chocolate chip cookie or a glass of wine or a piece of pie or whatever. And this is just a food example. It could be different things. It could be over shopping, overeating, overworking, over reacting, overthinking, over cleaning, whatever it is for you. But you notice, oh, I'm going to the refrigerator and opening it up for a third or fourth time, or I'm putting this in my mouth for a third or fourth time because I'm having an uncomfortable feeling. So right there, you're shifting, or you decide that you're not going to do that, and you notice before you even start, which is even harder lots of times. But nonetheless, you notice. And what you're doing is you're bringing consciousness to an unconscious behavior. And then you go to the second N, which is to name it. Okay, if I'm having an uncomfortable feeling, what is it? And then now you're not thinking about that pizza or that pie or that glass of wine. You're actually bringing your attention to your body. What is the feeling that I'm having? Is it? And I categorize them: sad, mad, glad, fear, numb, and shame. 6 different feelings. Now that's how I've categorized them. You've seen them categorized in various different ways, but what the mind needs to have a container, so we need to have the masculine to feel into the body, the feminine. So that helps our mind say, okay, well, wait, what am I feeling? Which one is it? Sad? Is it sad, mad, glad, fear, numb, shame? And so now we're starting to feel into our body. And where is it in my body? Is it in my heart? Is it in my gut? Is it in my throat? Is it in my head? And which feeling is it? Because each of those feelings have different characteristics. I remember the day when I am still big into yoga, but I remember the day when I was in downward facing dog, and I finally really got, oh, this is what fear feels like in my body. And like, oh, this is what sadness feels like in my body. So really start fine-tuning that awareness of this energy and these feelings that move through your body. And out of the 6 different feelings, there's only one that's a good one. The rest are uncomfortable feelings. So we have these uncomfortable feelings in our body that they're feminine waves that come and go. But they come like a tsunami sometimes. Repress them. That's our reaction. Put it down, Or they come out sideways in what I call the 3 Ds: disease, drama, and depression. So we want to avoid that. We want to be able to hold them in our love and our consciousness. So that brings me to the 3rd step. Notice, name, nurture. So once you've used your mind to kind of analyze which one it is and where it's located in the body, then you can go to the 3rd N, which is to nurture it. And that's when you put your hands on your body, or if it's your throat, or you can just put your hands there and just be there with yourself. Close your eyes and go inward. Hold your belly, hold your heart, and just be with that energy. And breathe into it and nurture it. And what I say is hold it like a baby. This is a screaming energy inside your body that just wants your undivided attention. And so it's like if a child is screaming, you're not going to just, push them out the door. You're going to hold them in your loving, nurturing consciousness. So think of that energy, that emotional energy, that pain body that you have, and hold it like a baby. And that's probably, to get there is hard to do, but once you're there, it's profound and powerful. And you're being with that energy. And this, like I said, this energy is ancient energy that typically has behind it, I'm not good enough, And it's from not only you, it's from your mother, your grandmother, your great-grandmother. It's from your lineage. It's from our collective societal programming. And so now that you can hold it in your unconditional love and conscious awareness, then you can ask yourself, and this you can be there with that as long as you want, or it can go real quick. And then you ask yourself, the most empowering question that you can ask yourself or another is, what do I need? What do I need? And so when you've gotten yourself to that point, is, it's not, I need that other person to be, to stop being a jerk, or I need to not eat pizza anymore. I'm so addicted to it, or whatever it is. It's, I need love. I need to know that I'm enough. These are core needs. So core needs are things like, I need gentleness, I need space, I need time, I need cleanliness, I need understanding, I need to be heard and understood. And when you can get down to a core need and acknowledge it within yourself, or give it a voice to another, a core need always centers you, always stabilizes emotions. And then the next step would be, beyond that, is really embodying that need and knowing that that need is something that you are worth, you're worthy of validating inside yourself, and knowing that it's okay for you to have that need. And that's how you communicate with others too, is with yourself and with others, is through that, your core needs, not through the stories in your head, oh, you're such a jerk, I can't believe you did that, or, he's never going to pick up the socks in the middle of the room ever, he's never going to help me with the dishes. I need cleanliness. Do you need cleanliness? So you're communicating from a much more heart-based place. And so the Four Ends has been a lifesaver for me. The Four Ends has been a lifesaver for many, many women. And it's a way to quickly understand how to get back to your power and center.
No, I love that. Getting clear on what your needs are helps you to clearly communicate to anybody else in your life, without the drama. And I love nurture is my favorite part of the 4 steps, because I think it's like the ultimate course in mothering. We joked when my first daughter was born, like, where's the manual? It's really like right within us. It's that inner work that we have to do. Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Especially being a mom, it's like a balancing act, and healthy boundaries, and knowing what's mine and what's theirs, and what am I responsible for, and what am I not supposed to be responsible for? What am I supposed to, let go, and what's the tough love? And oh my God. But the vibrational nourishment is all of that beautiful nurturing that you're inherently just so readily give out to your children or to others. Vibrational nourishment is you're giving that to yourself. And so lots of times we reach out to people, places, and things to fill ourselves up, validation, food, shopping, whatever it is. And we're sensual beings. Women are sensual beings. That's why I labeled it vibrational nourishment, because it's sensual. So I have all these different vibrational nourishment practices that I teach to have you take all that beautiful nurturing that you so readily give out to others that could deplete you if you do it too much and not in balance. And then the vibrational nourishment practices are helping you to align with a positive way to fill yourself up, instead of dysfunctional ways to fill yourself up with, overeating, over-shopping, overworking, overthinking, whatever it may be. So you this vibrational you're awakening the divine feminine energy in you.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for all of this wisdom. I would love to hear so you've been on this amazing journey, and if you could go back in time and share anything with yourself, what would you share with her?
Oh my gosh, what would I tell her? I love you. You are stepping into such this powerful journey, and where you are going is just you are here to really spread love. And so you're right in the middle of the foundational process of doing it within yourself. So I'm excited for your journey, and you are on it. That's what I would tell her. Just keep doing it. Keep loving you. Create that foundation, and it's all just going to blossom from there.
Oh, I love that. I love this topic and this conversation so much. So thank you for sharing your journey and your wisdom with us today.
Oh, Catherine, thank you. And thank you for having me. And thank you for just letting me rattle off this stuff that's so near and dear to me for myself and other women.
Oh, thank you. And so can you share with us where we can find you online?
Yeah, go to Anna-Thea.org. So that's ANNATHEA.org. And I teach online courses. I have lots of blogs to read. I do online courses, and then I do live experiences online. But the best thing to do is overall just come to my website, take my love quiz, and then you'll be connected to me, and you can just see at the time that you watch this podcast what my offerings currently are, and just jump in and take the journey with me, because I know you'll have a lot of fun with that.
Oh, beautiful. And we'll link to your site in the show notes.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you want to share before we sign off?
Yes, that I just think what you're doing is extremely powerful. We need more conscious moms, because the mother role is not an easy role. And I think what you're doing is, it's so, women need support. Women give so much support, but women need a lot of support. And that's what you're giving mothers, so that they can be in their power position and really affect positive change and undo the belief systems that keep us from being in our power. So I'm really excited that there's women that are out there that are doing what you are doing.
Thank you. I feel the same about you.
I think it's just going to magnify as we move forward. We need more of this feminine, nurturing power energy to come and heal the planet and our culture and our society.
Yeah. Such a beautiful movement. Thank you so much, Anna-Thea. Thanks for joining me, Mama. I'm over here smiling from ear to ear and giving you a big virtual hug. I love spending this time with you. You are amazing for showing up and carving out this space to nourish your soul. If you are loving the Soul Care Mom podcast, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. And if you are ready to start your mornings feeling calm and energized, get the Kickstart Your Calm Morning Guide, a self-care morning ritual for moms, as a free gift when you join the Soul Care Mom community. Head over to soulcaremom.com/kickstart and enter your email address to get your free gift and start feeling like a calm mom today. Sending you so much love, Mama.